Welcome to this explainer. Today we are going to objectively unpack a truly fascinating philosophical text. We're diving right into chapter 20 of Swami Sivananda ParamaHamsa's Siddha Vedam. It's a chapter boldly titled The One Religion. And what we have here is a profound deconstruction of worldly religions presented through this really classic teaching format. So get ready, because this text is going to challenge some of the absolute most fundamental assumptions humanity holds about faith, identity, and division.
The text actually kicks things off by pulling us right into a Socratic dialogue between a teacher and a disciple. And I gotta say, it doesn't waste any time. It starts with a direct, almost uncomfortable challenge. The teacher essentially asks the disciple what their religion is, and the moment he gets an answer, he fires back with, "What is the proof?" Like, really think about that for a second. How can someone actually tangibly prove their religious identity? It forces you to immediately question the entire foundation of those labels.
Now, to really grasp this paradigm shift that the Swami is guiding us toward, we first have to look at the accepted premise that the disciple brings to the table. It's the belief that the world is fundamentally chopped up into four distinct great religions: Hinduism, Buddhism, Christianity, and Mohammedanism. This perfectly represents the conventional, totally divided worldview that the teacher is about to completely dismantle.
Well, the teacher systematically takes apart the disciple's claim to being a Hindu. The dialogue reveals a pretty harsh truth. Claiming a religion and actually practicing its core tenets are two wildly different things. The teacher points out that merely going through the motions of outward rituals without actually worshiping God makes the label entirely meaningless. Basically, if you aren't doing the actual work, the title is unearned. It's empty.
And this whole logical breakdown leads to what is honestly a massive paradigm-shifting assertion from the teacher. He flat out tells the disciple that there are different religions in this world is nothing but madness. It's a striking quote, isn't it? The Swami is actively challenging the very concept of religious division in society, suggesting that this whole fragmentation is just a huge illusion born out of misunderstanding.
Section 1. Redefining Hindu Matham. So here's where it gets really interesting. The Swami redefines a term that sounds an awful lot like Hinduism. According to the text, there is only one true religion, which he refers to using the Sanskrit phraseology Indu Matham. Let's break down this etymology exactly as the teacher does. Step 1, Indu literally means the moon. Step 2, the moon represents the mind. Step 3, Matham means a system of faith. So, if we bring it all together for step 4, Indu Matham isn't a geographical or cultural label at all. It literally just means the internal act of fixing one's mind on God.
This leads us to the absolute core distillation of faith within the text. The Swami argues that fixing the mind in God, who is the essence of life, is the true and only religion. Unless a person is actively fixing their mind on this essence, walking around calling themselves a Hindu, Christian, Buddhist, or Muslim is entirely pointless. The internal focus is everything. The external label? Absolutely nothing.
To kind of bring this down to earth, the Swami uses a really vivid example to show the difference between superficial practice and deep understanding. He talks about an unapproachable Niyati who converts to Islam just to gain social standing, basically to become approachable. This person learns to parrot a few words like Allah or Bismillah, but they remain totally in the dark about the religion's actual spiritual truth. True understanding, the text argues, requires studying the actual significance of the faith. You can't just adopt the vocabulary and the social perks and call it a day.
Section 2. The origin of labels.
Okay, so if there really is just this one singular religion of God, we naturally have to ask, where on earth did all these different names and divisions come from? Well, the text explains that historically, great teachers arrived on earth to preach the singular religion of God. But what happened next? Ignorant populations took those teachings and named them after the founders themselves. Buddha's teachings became Buddhism. Christ's teachings became Christianity. Muhammad's teachings became Mohammedanism. The original unified message spread like wildfire, sure, but it was fractured by our human obsession with categorizing and labeling everything based on the messenger rather than the message itself.
The teacher actually uses a pretty hilarious thought experiment to drive this home. He asks the disciple to imagine if these historical figures just happened to have different names. Like if Christ had simply been named George, would the religion be called Christianity? No, the disciple admits, it would be called Georgism. If Muhammad had been named Sheikh, it would be Sheikhism. It's a funny point, but it's incredibly profound, proving just how arbitrary and totally human-made these societal labels truly are.
So stripping away the totally arbitrary names, your Georgisms, your Sheikhisms, your Buddhisms, the Socratic dialogue asks us a really profound question to get to the core of the whole shebang. What is the actual religion established by these great men? If we wipe their personal names from the equation entirely, what's actually left?
And the disciple hits the nail on the head here. He correctly concludes that, regardless of the founder, there is only one underlying system established by all of them. It's the unified religion of God. This is the single, underlying truth and system of faith discovered and preached by all the great teachers throughout history, totally stripped of our divisive human labels.
Section 3. The One Inner Path.
Now, zooming out to look at the broader historical context, the Swami describes this tragic, repeating cycle. It's like a giant loop. In Era 1, the true internal religion of God exists. Perfect. But then humanity inevitably loses sight of this truth. In Era 2, we move away from the internal focus, and we start building structures, worshiping idols, and even committing atrocities in the name of faith. So, in Era 3, prophets and Mahatmas arrive to intervene and restore the focus back to the inner path. But tragically, in Era 4, humanity repeats the exact same mistake, taking the prophets' restorative teachings and turning them right back into newly labeled divisive religions.
When we look a bit closer at this historical contrast, the text details exactly what humanity was doing versus what the prophets were actually trying to teach. People were committing absolute atrocities. The Swami specifically names practices like Narabali, which is human sacrifice, and Kukurabali, cock sacrifice. People were completely obsessed with building physical structures and idols. The prophets, on the other hand, having attained true realization, condemned all of these outward superficial rituals. Instead, they emphatically pointed out that we have to look inward to solve the world's problems. The whole goal is attaining the kingdom of happiness from within ourselves.
Ultimately, Siddha Vedam posits that every single prophet, regardless of what label we slap on them today, was doing the exact same thing. As the teacher clearly states, all the prophets in this world follow one and the same path, and that is the inner path which I have shown to you. They were all just trying to guide humanity back to this exact same internal state of mind, just fixing the mind on the essence of life.
So we're going to leave you with this final thought to genuinely ask yourself today, based on the Swami's teachings. When you look at your own worldview, your own beliefs, and how you interact with everyone around you, are you distracted by the societal labels, the Georgisms and Sikhisms of the world? Or are you actually walking the inner path,